Before we dive into today's story, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment with what you'd do if you came face to face with the galaxy's deadliest predator. Would you fight it, run from it, or try something no alien has ever dared? Your thoughts might show up in the next video. Now let's begin. For as long as the stars have burned, the galaxy has whispered the name of a beast that no one dared speak too loudly. It was a predator that lived beyond reason, beyond mercy, beyond the logic of survival. The Varkulan. Worlds that had tasted its claws left behind hollow echoes, ruined cities, abandoned colonies, the bones of those who thought their walls were strong enough. Among the elder races, the very mention of it was a curse, a tale to frighten their young into obedience. The Varkulan was not hunted. It was endured. And yet, light years away from the halls of galactic power, a man named Marcus Hale stirred his coffee in silence. He was a soldier long since retired, the kind of man whose eyes carried the quiet weight of wars fought too young and too long. His cabin on the fringe world of Greystone was simple: bare planks, dust-covered shelves, and a loyal old rifle propped by the door. Out here, far from the council's chaos, Marcus had chosen solitude. He'd earned it. His younger brother Eli disagreed. Where Marcus was broad-shouldered, scarred, and deliberate, Eli was wiry, restless, and full of humor that never seemed to dim. He filled the silence with chatter, with questions, with a relentless optimism that Marcus sometimes found exhausting and sometimes secretly comforting. Together, they maintained the small homestead their father had once built, raising crops, fixing machines, and trading with the occasional merchant shuttle that wandered this far out. On that morning, the brothers were mending the perimeter fence when the distress beacon arrived. A crackle of static, then a shrill, desperate voice bleeding from the comm unit. Mining colony Theta 9, multiple casualties. Something's out there, tearing through everything. The transmission ended with a sound Marcus had heard too many times before, the abrupt scream of someone silenced mid-breath. Eli froze. That wasn't Raiders, was it? Marcus didn't answer right away. He adjusted the frequency, listening to the faint background echo, the thud of colossal steps, a low reverberation like thunder trapped underground. His jaw tightened. Marcus. Eli pressed. It's not Raiders, Marcus said at last. Pack your gear. The younger Hale's eyes widened. You don't think? I think, Marcus cut in, that whatever it is, it won't stop at Theta 9. And if the stories are true, running won't save anyone. The journey was short but tense. Their shuttle, the Wayfarer's Rest, rattled through atmosphere like an old dog coughing through a storm. Eli filled the cockpit with nervous chatter, trying to mask the unease creeping into his gut. You know, most people would hear death beast that annihilates fleets and say, hey, maybe that's someone else's problem. But not you. No. You hear it and think, let's go poke it with a stick. Marcus said nothing. His eyes stayed locked on the scanners, watching the jagged readings ahead. It was the same look he'd worn during ambushes, Eli realized, the look of a man bracing for inevitability. When they broke atmosphere, the devastation spread beneath them like a wound. The colony wasn't just attacked, it was erased. Mining rigs lay crumpled like toys, habitation domes torn apart, smoke curling in slow, suffocating plumes. Not a single distress flare remained. Eli swallowed hard. I'm starting to vote for the leave it alone option. Marcus landed anyway. The shuttle settled with a groan among twisted girders and scorched earth. He armed himself with the old rifle, slung a pack over his shoulder, and checked his brother with a steady glance. Stay close. Eyes open. No heroics. Right, Eli muttered. No heroics. Just suicidal bravery. They moved cautiously through the ruins, the silence pressing in like a weight. There were no bodies. Only shadows and claw marks gouged deep into steel and stone, too wide, too violent to belong to any known predator. Marcus studied them, tracing the scars with his gloved fingers. This wasn't random, he murmured. It hunted then moved on. Hunted what? Everyone? Eli asked, his voice thin. Marcus didn't answer. He didn't need to. The colony itself was the answer. As dusk bled into night, they followed the trail beyond the mining site into the alien forest beyond. Trees towered like cathedral spires, their leaves black under starlight. The air stank of iron and decay. Every few steps they found fresh evidence. Broken trunks, carcasses of local wildlife split open, half devoured. Whatever the Varkulan was, it consumed everything in its path, yet always moving, always restless. The deeper they ventured, the heavier the atmosphere grew, as if the planet itself trembled with memory of what had passed through. Eli's bravado cracked in the gloom. Marcus, I know you don't scare easy, but I've got a bad feeling we're about to be added to the menu. Quiet, Marcus whispered, raising his rifle. The forest had fallen still. Too still. Then it appeared. A shadow larger than the trees themselves, moving with fluid menace. Eyes burned in the darkness, twin embers locking onto the intruders. The ground quaked with each step, claws slicing grooves into the soil. Marcus steadied his weapon, breath slow, heartbeat calm despite the monstrous scale before him. The Varkulan was everything the stories promised. A nightmare of teeth and armor, wings folded against a body built for slaughter, tail lashing with predatory precision. Its very presence felt wrong, as though nature itself had miscalculated in creating something too perfect at killing. Eli stumbled back, words catching in his throat. We can't. The beast lunged. Marcus didn't flinch. He raised his rifle, knowing it would barely scratch the surface, but ready to fight all the same. The forest erupted in motion, air splitting with the predator's roar as it descended. And then it stopped. The Varkulan dropped not upon them but before them. The earth shook as its massive body lowered. Claws dug into the soil, muscles tensed, then it rolled, a thunderous motion that left it sprawled on its back, armored plates gleaming under starlight. It exposed its belly. Eli blinked. What the hell? The monster's ember eyes fixed on Marcus. A low, rumbling sound emerged, not the growl of rage but something deeper, almost expectant. Its tail thumped the ground once, then stilled. Marcus, Eli whispered, tell me I'm hallucinating. Tell me the galaxy's death beast isn't asking for. He couldn't finish the sentence. The sight was too absurd. Marcus lowered the rifle, slowly. Every instinct screamed trap, yet something else whispered beneath the fear. A memory, unbidden, of their childhood dog rolling onto its back in the old farmhouse, waiting for a scratch. The same posture. The same silent plea. Cautious, deliberate, Marcus stepped forward. His boots crunched against the soil, each movement watched by eyes that could have swallowed him whole. He raised a hand, hesitating only a breath, then laid it against the armored hide. The Varkulan shuddered, releasing a sound like thunder caught in its chest. Not a growl. A purr. Eli's jaw dropped. You've got to be kidding me. The great predator, scourge of empires, killer of worlds, lay utterly still under the human's touch, vibrating with low, resonant pleasure. It pressed its massive head closer, nudging, encouraging, begging. Marcus rubbed his palms slowly across its chest plates, disbelief etched into his scarred face. Eli whispered, half in awe, half in terror, either we just made history, or we just became history's weirdest meal prep. But the creature did not devour. It only purred louder. And in that impossible moment, Marcus understood. The galaxy's deadliest beast wasn't showing submission to power, fear, or technology. It was asking for something no alien had ever thought to offer. Kindness. The forest still quivered from the monster's purr, the ground vibrating as though an earthquake had chosen to breathe. Marcus kept his hand steady on the beast's plated chest, unwilling to show hesitation. His pulse raced, but his face betrayed nothing. The Varkulan, a creature that had turned civilizations to ash, lay sprawled before him like a colossal hound expecting affection. Its tail lashed gently in the dirt, sending up showers of soil each time it thumped. Eli could not close his mouth. He circled at a safe distance, rifle clutched in clammy hands, eyes darting between his brother and the nightmare at their feet. Marcus, he whispered harshly, do you even know what you're doing? No, Marcus said quietly. His palm moved slowly, fingers tracing across armored ridges that should have shredded steel. But it seems to like it. Like it? Eli's voice pitched higher. It's supposed to peel tanks open like sardines, not roll over like a puppy. Maybe it's playing with us. Maybe it wants you to lower your guard before it snaps you in half. The predator shifted again, its vast wings twitching once before folding tightly against its sides. It released another reverberating rumble, a sound so low it rattled Eli's ribs. The noise carried not hunger but contentment, the same tone a cat might use in a warm patch of sun. Marcus kept rubbing, never breaking eye contact with the creature's glowing stare. If it wanted me dead, I wouldn't still be breathing. This isn't a trick. Not the way we think. Eli stared, incredulous. So what humanity's secret weapon is belly scratches? The beast's purr grew louder as if it agreed. They stayed like that for long, fragile minutes, until Marcus finally withdrew his hand. At once the Varkulan pressed forward, massive head shoving against him with surprising gentleness, nearly knocking him over. The plea was unmistakable. Wanted more. Eli rubbed his temples, muttering to himself. I can't believe I left my tools, my workshop, and 3 bags of perfectly good snacks for this insanity. When Marcus didn't answer, Eli added louder, do you plan to just stand here and pet the galaxy's most efficient killing machine until dawn? Because I don't think that counts as a mission report. Marcus finally stepped back, watching carefully. The beast did not lunge, did not grow violent. It whined, a deep, guttural sound that reverberated through the trees like sorrow. Then it followed them with its eyes, massive body remaining low, almost submissive. It's bonded, Marcus muttered. Eli blinked. Bonded? To what? To us. The younger Hale scoffed, disbelief dripping from every word. No. No way. You don't bond with something that digests battleships. You run from it, or you hide, or you pray it eats someone else. Look at it, Marcus said. His voice held no trace of humor. It had every chance to kill us. It didn't. It asked for something instead. Comfort. Submission. I think we just became the first creatures in history it doesn't want to slaughter. Eli looked at the predator again, and for the first time beneath the fear, he saw it differently. Not as a mindless engine of death, but as something lonelier, more complicated. Its eyes didn't glow with hatred, they glowed with something searching. They retreated cautiously, Marcus walking backward with rifle still raised. The Varkulan did not advance. Instead, it let out one final, echoing purr, then sank deeper into the shadows, vanishing as if the forest itself had absorbed it. When silence reclaimed the night, Eli exhaled in relief so sharp it was nearly painful. Well, that's it. We'll never speak of this again, right? Right. But Marcus was still staring at the empty space, jaw set, thoughts grinding behind his eyes. No. We need to know why. Back at the shuttle, the brothers debated in heated whispers. Eli argued for leaving immediately, setting coordinates for the farthest star lane, and pretending none of it ever happened. Marcus disagreed. The thing had chosen not to kill them. That meant something. And meaning, in Marcus's experience, always carried consequences. They lifted off from the forest, but Marcus guided the craft only as far as the perimeter hills. He deployed observation drones, scattering them across the ruined colony and the dark treeline beyond. Their feeds lit up the cockpit with fractured angles of devastation. Shredded towers, charred mining rigs, and tracks pressed deep into the soil where the Varkulan had moved. Eli hunched over the console, fiddling nervously. You're telling me you want to keep watching it? Like it's some stray animal you can coax into behaving. Marcus, I don't think you understand. The whole galaxy lives in fear of this thing. And now it purrs when you scratch it? That's not just weird. That's dangerous. Marcus leaned forward, gaze hard. Everything dangerous we've ever faced, Eli, we studied. We found weaknesses. We found ways to survive. Why not this? Because this isn't a battlefield, Marcus. It's something else. Something that makes no sense. The words hung between them, unanswered. Hours passed as the drones tracked movement. Twice they caught fleeting glimpses of the beast moving through the ruins, nose to the ground like it searched for something. Once it paused, staring directly at a drone lens, then, remarkably, did nothing, letting it hover unchallenged before turning away. Marcus sat back slowly. It knows we're watching. Good, Eli said. Maybe it'll remember and stay on its side of the forest. But that night, as they sat in the shuttle's cabin with only dim lanterns and the cold silence of Greystone's wilderness, a tremor shook the earth outside. Eli went rigid. The tremor became a rhythm, heavy steps drawing nearer. The shadows outside shifted, blotting out starlight. Marcus reached for his rifle. The Varkulan lowered its massive head beside the shuttle, the ground groaning under its weight. Its eyes glowed faintly through the viewport. Then, with a deliberate motion, it curled its massive body beside the vessel and lay down. Wings folded. Tail stilled. Its breathing slowed, heavy and resonant, like the growl of mountains asleep. It had chosen to stay with them. Eli's face drained of color. It followed us. It's camping outside like a guard dog. Marcus didn't move, didn't even breathe for a long while. He simply watched the beast settle. Then, at last, he holstered the rifle. Not a guard dog, he murmured. A companion. Eli slumped back into his chair, hands pressed over his face. Great. Fantastic. The universe's biggest nightmare has separation anxiety. We're doomed. But Marcus felt something different stir in his chest, something beyond fear. For the first time he wondered if the galaxy's myths had been wrong all along. Perhaps the creature was not an unstoppable horror but something no one had ever tried to understand. Perhaps the terror had lasted so long only because no one had thought to treat it as more than a monster. The predator slept outside, breath rumbling like distant storms, while inside the brothers argued softly into the night. One wanted to flee, the other to remain. But both knew the same truth now: there would be no escaping what had chosen them. The Varkulen had made its decision. And the galaxy would never believe it. The footage played across 1,000 holoscreens, grainy at first, then sharpened by the Council's surveillance filters. Aliens of every stature and form leaned forward in tense silence. They had braced themselves to watch slaughter, expecting human screams and blood. Instead, the projection showed Marcus Hale kneeling beside the Varkulen, his scarred hand moving calmly along its armored chest while the beast purred like thunder. The chamber erupted. Some delegates shrieked in disbelief, mandibles clacking, tails lashing. Others shouted accusations, voices overlapping in a storm of panic. The predator they had feared for centuries, an extinction event wrapped in muscle and claw, had rolled onto its back like a submissive cub before a human. "This must be fabrication," bellowed a thick-scaled emissary from the Zurak Dominion. His eyes bulged, slitted pupils contracting in rage. No creature of that magnitude would debase itself so willingly. The Ivarian speaker beside him trembled, translucent skin pulsing with sickly colors. "It is no falsehood. The readings confirm authenticity. That beast, the terror of our histories, begs comfort from a human hand. What manner of species can command such a thing without force?" Whispers turned to shouts again. The council floor devolved into chaos. At the center dais, the High Chancellor of the Assembly raised her many-ringed hands for silence. Her voice carried the weight of stars. "Enough. The evidence is plain. The Varkulen, destroyer of worlds, now rests under the dominion of 2 human males. If this is truth, then we stand upon the edge of a new order. If it is deceit, then humanity's deception is an even greater threat." Far from the council's chamber, Marcus leaned against the rail of his homestead porch, staring into the twilight. The old wooden boards creaked beneath his boots, but his thoughts lay elsewhere. Below him, curled in the dirt like a slumbering mountain, the Varkulen slept. Its breathing shook the ground with every rise and fall of its chest. Yet it looked peaceful, almost content. Eli stood beside him, holding a mug of lukewarm coffee he hadn't touched. He gestured vaguely at the enormous bulk sprawled across their yard. "So, let's review. We went out to investigate a distress call, nearly died, discovered the galaxy's ultimate murder machine craves tummy rubs, and now it's taken up residence next to our cabin. Do I have that about right?" Marcus's lips twitched into the faintest of smiles. "Close enough. And you're not terrified?" Eli demanded. "I'm cautious," Marcus corrected. He looked down at the creature, noting the way it twitched occasionally in its sleep, claws flexing. "Terrified won't help. Observation might." Eli groaned. "Only you would look at that thing and think, science project." But though his tone dripped with sarcasm, even Eli had begun to soften. Hours spent watching the beast revealed something strange. It did not rampage. It did not devour. It followed them when they moved, curled close when they rested, and even allowed Eli, after much nervous stammering, to toss it strips of dried meat. To his shock, the predator had accepted the offering delicately, careful not to snap his arm in half. Word of this bond spread faster than either Hale could have imagined. The drones they had deployed relayed constant streams of footage. The council intercepted everything, dissecting every frame, every sound. Across the galaxy, populations who had lived in fear of the Varkulen for millennia now watched with morbid fascination as a pair of humans treated it like a household pet. Conspiracy theories multiplied. Some claimed humanity had engineered a pheromone weapon. Others insisted humans were natural manipulators, a species evolved to dominate predators with unknown psychic influence. A few whispered something more dangerous, that humans were not taming the beast but awakening its true nature. In the cabin, Eli paced back and forth, chewing his lip. "We need to think about what happens next. The council isn't just going to sit back and shrug. They're probably losing their collective minds right now. They'll send ships, Marcus. Soldiers. Hunters. And when they see it here..." Marcus cut him off. "They'll panic." "Exactly." Eli threw up his hands. "And panicked aliens with advanced weapons don't usually make good decisions. We're going to be at the center of a galaxy-wide disaster." Marcus sipped his own coffee, unruffled. "Or we'll be at the center of a revelation." Eli laughed without humor. "You think they'll see this as hope? As proof that the scariest thing in existence just wants cuddles?" "Not cuddles," Marcus said firmly. "Connection. That's the difference." Eli stared at him. "Do you even hear yourself?" Before Marcus could answer, the ground trembled again. The Varkulin stirred, yawning with a sound like glaciers splitting apart. It rolled onto its side, one vast golden eye flicking toward the porch. For a moment, Marcus and the predator locked gazes. Then, astonishingly, it pressed its armored head against the ground in a motion that looked almost like a bow. Eli shuddered. "It's acknowledging you." That's not right." Marcus didn't reply. He stepped down from the porch and crossed the dirt until he stood before the creature's massive snout. Slowly he raised his hand and the beast pushed forward, allowing him to scratch under its jawline. The purr that followed shook the cabin's windows. From orbit, hidden surveillance relays captured every detail. Within hours, the footage reached the council chamber, sparking renewed uproar. "This is an abomination," cried one delegate. "If humanity commands the Varkulin, they command terror itself. They must be stopped before they unleash it upon us all." Another voice countered, cold and measured. "Or perhaps we have misunderstood both predator and human. Perhaps what we called terror was only ignorance. Perhaps humanity sees what we could not." The Chancellor silenced them again. Her gaze swept the chamber, heavy with portent. "Whether blessing or curse, the fact remains. The most feared creature in the galaxy has chosen. And it has not chosen us." Back on Greystone, night fell. Eli tried to sleep but failed, the sound of the beast's breathing too loud, too constant. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering how his life had turned into this surreal nightmare. Then he heard Marcus's voice outside, low and calm, speaking words he couldn't quite catch. Curiosity tugged him to the window. There was his brother, sitting cross-legged in the dirt, the Varkulin's colossal head resting near him like a dog listening to its master. Marcus spoke quietly, steady, as though confiding secrets to the stars. And the beast listened. It didn't move, didn't interrupt. It simply listened. For the first time, Eli felt something new, a flicker of awe, not just fear. The monster wasn't simply tolerating them. It was learning. And in the heart of the galaxy, as debates raged and worlds shivered, the truth grew unavoidable. Humanity had not bent the predator through force or trickery. They had done something no other species had thought to try. They had offered trust. The beast had accepted. The council would not let that stand. The night air was thick with anticipation, charged as if the planet itself knew what was coming. Marcus Hale crouched behind the remnants of an old mining shuttle, eyes narrowing on the dark horizon where faint lights moved with military precision. Eli huddled beside him, hands gripping the rifle like it were a talisman against the impossible. Neither spoke at first, both feeling the weight of what they had invited into their lives. A galaxy's deadliest creature loyal to them, and now the attention of every power in the cosmos. The Varkulin had sensed the incoming threat long before Marcus had. A low, rumbling growl vibrated through the ground, shaking dust from the cabin eaves. The creature's massive eyes glimmered in the darkness, pupils narrowing as it read the energy signatures approaching from orbit. Marcus recognized that look, the prelude to predation, the same way his old squad would tense before a firefight. "They're coming," Eli muttered, voice tight. Shuttle sensors picked multiple combat vessels, armed to the teeth. The council didn't send a warning. They sent an execution order. Marcus exhaled slowly, trying to steady his nerves. "We knew this might happen. They'll underestimate us, and that's exactly what we'll use." From above, the ships descended in silent, coordinated precision. Alien soldiers, clad in armor that could withstand plasma storms, formed a perimeter around the clearing. Tactical lights cut through the darkness, illuminating the devastation Marcus and Eli had been studying for days. These were not raiders. These were professional hunters sent to neutralize them and seize the Varkulin. The ground shook as the predator stepped from the shadows. Its massive claws gouged furrows into the dirt, and its tail lashed in anticipation. Marcus studied it closely, noting the way the beast's muscles coiled like springs, every inch a perfect killing machine. Yet despite the anticipation of battle, it remained calm near them, as though it understood exactly whom it was protecting. Eli swallowed hard. "This is it, Marcus. Once we fire a shot, there's no turning back." Marcus nodded, voice steady. "We don't need to fire first. Let them make the mistake." The alien hunters advanced cautiously, confidence radiating from their formation. They had studied the Varkulin's history, analyzed its previous attacks, and concluded that the humans were insignificant. They had never seen the creature submit. They had never seen what Marcus and Eli had. The first soldier reached for a restraining net, its hands trembling slightly under the weight of advanced weaponry. In an instant, the Varkulin reacted. A single, fluid motion, the speed of which defied comprehension, sent the net twisting into the air, shredded before it touched the ground. The hunters froze. Then came the roar, a sound so vast it seemed to come from beneath the planet itself. The Varkulan lunged into the center of the perimeter, tail smashing armored exosuits into twisted metal. Claws sliced through weapons and machinery with precision, not a strike wasted, yet never once touching Marcus or Eli. Eli ducked behind a boulder, eyes wide. Holy, it's protecting us. It's actually protecting us. Marcus's jaw tightened, his hand steady on the rifle he no longer intended to use. Not just protecting. It's enforcing loyalty. The hunters regrouped, forming tighter formations, attempting coordinated fire. Lasers sizzled across the battlefield, striking the Varkulan's plated hide, bouncing harmlessly as if the creature were clad in planetary armor. In response, it moved like a living storm. Each movement was deliberate, efficient, devastating. Limbs struck with concussive force, tails lashed with precision, and yet every attack avoided the humans they had come to eliminate. Eli gasped. Marcus, it's not just fighting for us. It's choosing how to fight. It knows we're here. Marcus observed in silence, awe mingling with tension. He realized the Predator's intelligence exceeded any report they had ever received. Every attack neutralized threats, every strike minimized collateral, every maneuver strategically positioned the humans in safety. The Varkulan was not just an apex predator, it was a partner trained by instinct, intuition, and now loyalty. The alien commander barked orders, but panic was seeping through ranks. Calculated precision faltered as soldiers fell to the ground, their formations collapsing under the Varkulan's unstoppable assault. What had begun as an organized strike descended into chaos within minutes. The creature's roar echoed across the clearing, drowning out all communication. Marcus finally stepped forward, his voice loud, commanding yet calm. Eli, stay behind me. The younger brother obeyed immediately, trembling as he watched the monster move like a force of nature. Marcus raised his hands toward the Varkulan, signaling calm. It paused mid-motion, massive frame lowering to a crouch, waiting for his instruction. He had never felt such absolute trust from another being. The hunters made one final desperate charge, a squad of elite warriors charging in unison. They had counted on surprise and technological superiority. Instead, the Varkulan met them head-on, claws, tail, and jaws all working in harmony. Each soldier was neutralized with a precision that defied belief. No friendly fire, no wasted effort, just perfect execution. Eli watched, speechless, as his brother stood near the edge of the carnage, unscathed, the Varkulan pacing alongside him. I don't even have words, he muttered. This is unreal. Marcus didn't respond. His eyes never left the creature. He had expected the Council's retaliation, but not this demonstration of absolute loyalty. The bond he and his brother had forged was more profound than any weapon, more terrifying than any fleet. It was the first time in recorded history that the deadliest predator in the galaxy had fought willingly for humans. The dust settled. The surviving hunters were incapacitated or fleeing, communications in shambles. The Varkulan lowered its head once more, massive bulk pressing toward Marcus as if seeking reassurance. It had done everything it could, and now it awaited his guidance. Marcus knelt, placing a hand on the armored jaw. The sound of a low, vibrating purr resonated through the clearing. Good, he murmured. You've done well. You protected us. That's enough. Eli approached cautiously, still awestruck. Marcus, they'll never believe this. Not in a million years. I don't care if they believe it, Marcus replied. I know the truth, and they'll learn it soon enough. From orbit, Council observers recorded the entire event. Across countless star systems, the footage spread, leaving witnesses in shock. Never had a human tamed, controlled, or inspired loyalty in the galaxy's apex predator. Never had a creature known for wholesale destruction chosen obedience to a single species. The galaxy's myth of terror had been shattered, not by weapons, not by armies, but by trust, patience, and courage. Marcus Hale and Eli Hale were no longer just survivors. They were the first humans to prove that even the deadliest predator could be approached, understood, and befriended. As the Varkulan settled beside them, rolling slightly onto its armored side, Marcus whispered, almost to himself, "We've changed everything. The Council, the galaxy, none of it will ever be the same." Eli leaned against the massive creature's flank, a nervous laugh escaping him. So, what now? We just live with it. Marcus glanced at the horizon, where stars burned quietly above the war-torn clearing. We survive. We learn. And we wait. Because sooner or later someone else will come, and then we'll see what loyalty really means. The Varkulan purred, shaking the ground faintly. His choice was clear. Their family, their bond, had become its own force in the galaxy, a force no one could ignore. And though the night was quiet now, the echoes of what had just occurred promised that the story was far from over. Somewhere beyond the stars, the Council was watching, furious and afraid, plotting their next move. But here, on Greystone, a man, his brother, and the galaxy's deadliest creature rested together. The impossible had happened, the unthinkable had been proven. The bond was real and it was unstoppable. The galaxy held its breath. Across countless systems, the footage of Marcus Hale, Eli, and the Varkulan had sparked debates, panic, and awe. The Council convened once more, every delegate seething, every observer trembling, and yet no one dared to challenge the undeniable truth. The deadliest predator in the known universe had chosen humans. Not weapons, not fleets, not cunning alien strategy, but humans. The implications were staggering. Marcus stood on the porch of their homestead, arms folded as he watched the stars shimmer above the horizon. The Varkulan lay sprawled nearby, its massive form barely contained by the cleared land around the cabin. It rumbled softly, a low, comforting vibration that reverberated through the dirt beneath Marcus's boots. The creature had become more than a weapon. It was a sentinel, a partner, and a reminder that fear could be conquered by understanding. Eli leaned against the railing, exhaustion written across his face. So, we survived a council-sanctioned execution, we tamed a monster, and now the entire galaxy thinks we're either gods or insane. I'm leaning toward both. Marcus smiled faintly. It's not about what they think. It's about what we do next. They're going to try to control it, to weaponize it, to turn it against us. We need to be ready. Ready? Eli's laugh was dry. I've never seen a creature that could literally erase armies with a tail wag. What else are we supposed to do? Argue it into submission? Marcus turned his gaze toward the Varkulan. The beast's eyes followed him, intelligent and attentive, a silent bond forged in trust. We lead, he said simply. We show them what it means to be human. That power is nothing without responsibility, that fear can be tempered with compassion. Across the void, the Council's fleet had begun mobilizing. Shuttles streaked through space, carrying emissaries, elite operatives, and advanced weaponry designed to subdue a creature of unparalleled strength. They expected compliance or at the very least resistance that could be crushed. They were wrong. The first wave arrived in orbit, sleek vessels bristling with weapon systems. Sensors tracked the Varkulan's massive form on the surface. Marcus and Eli had prepared, but not with armaments. They had prepared with strategy, observation, and the understanding that the creature at their side was not just a tool, it was a force capable of discerning friend from foe, instinct from malice. The Council transmitted a demand: surrender the Varkulan or face obliteration. The screen flickered, revealing countless alien faces twisted in anger and fear. Marcus pressed a hand against the console, voice steady. We will not surrender. You do not understand loyalty, or you would see this isn't coercion. It's choice. Eli rolled his eyes but nodded, trusting his brother's intuition. We're about to redefine the galaxy's idea of power, he muttered. Below, the Varkulan stirred. Its massive claws gouged the earth as it rose, muscles rippling with barely contained energy. The ground shook with each step, dust rising like smoke over battlefields of old. The beast's eyes scanned the sky, pupils narrowing as it calculated threats, recognized patterns, and distinguished intentions. The Council's first strike came without warning, a concentrated volley of plasma and kinetic rounds designed to overwhelm the creature in seconds. The blast struck the Varkulan's armored hide and ricocheted harmlessly, sparks scattering into the night sky. The first volley barely scratched its surface. Marcus stood firm, signaling with subtle gestures. The Varkulan shifted, moving with precision, neutralizing incoming drones before they could release payloads. Each strike was deliberate, efficient, a dance of destruction choreographed to protect the humans it had chosen. Eli's mouth fell open as he witnessed the creature's strategic genius. They've underestimated us, Marcus said calmly. They think technology beats instinct. They don't realize loyalty amplifies instinct tenfold. The next wave of assault attempted to encircle the homestead, but the Varkulan moved faster than the Council's calculations could anticipate. Massive claws tore through hovering gun platforms, wings spread wide to knock ships into collision courses with one another, and its tail swept through armored squads like a scythe through wheat. The battlefield became a blur of movement, metal, and raw, intelligent power. Yet at every turn the creature avoided harming Marcus or Eli. Eli ducked behind a remaining tree, voice trembling with exhilaration. It's like it can see through the council's plans. It's predicting everything. Marcus nodded, eyes locked on the predator. Not predicting. Responding. Learning. Adapting. And it trusts us enough to protect us first. The council, observing in real time, erupted in disbelief. Their most advanced strategies crumbled against a single choice: the Varkulan's loyalty. Delegates shouted, threatened, and argued, but the spectacle on Greystone was undeniable. The apex predator had become a force of nature, bound not by fear or domination but by the bond between species. As the battle reached its peak, a squadron of elite assassins descended from orbit, intent on eliminating Marcus and Eli directly. Their weapons discharged in rapid succession, plasma bolts cutting through trees and earth. The Varkulan met them head-on, its roar deafening, shaking even the cabin walls. In seconds, every assassin was incapacitated, their weapons shattered, their formation obliterated. Eli stumbled forward, awestruck. Marcus, it's unstoppable. Marcus's hand rested lightly on the creature's armored snout. Unstoppable doesn't mean reckless. It knows who it protects. That's what makes it terrifying. Above them, the council realized the full scope of their miscalculation. Humanity had not merely survived, they had forged an alliance with the galaxy's deadliest predator. The implications were clear: humans could achieve the impossible not through technology or brute force, but through understanding, courage, and trust. As the dust settled, Marcus stepped forward. The Varkulan lowered its head, massive frame pressing down in a motion almost ceremonial, acknowledging victory. Marcus knelt beside it, hand brushing along the armored jawline. The sound of its purring reverberated across the land, a deep, rolling rumble that seemed to carry through the very fabric of reality. Eli joined him cautiously, placing a hand against the creature's side. We're the only ones it's chosen," he murmured, voice filled with wonder. Marcus looked at the horizon where council ships hovered, frozen in disbelief. It's more than a creature. It's proof. Proof that the galaxy has underestimated humanity since the beginning. That fear isn't always strength and terror isn't always power. Connection, loyalty, understanding, those are the weapons no empire has ever mastered. The Varkulan shifted slightly, nudging Marcus gently as if affirming his words. Its eyes, glowing softly in the dim light, seemed to comprehend the truth of their bond. The galaxy's apex predator, feared for eons, was now a testament to humanity's audacity, courage, and moral strength. From orbit, the council transmitted one final message: a demand for surrender, a plea for reason, and a warning of retaliation. Marcus ignored the demand, raising his hand in quiet defiance. "We will not yield," he said. "You cannot command loyalty. You cannot manufacture trust. What you see here is the choice of a living being, and it stands with us." Eli exhaled, a mixture of relief and triumph. "I can't believe we're alive." Marcus's gaze softened as he looked at the Varkulan. "We're not just alive, Eli. We're defining what it means to be human." The predator released a final, resonant purr, one that shook the earth beneath them, signaling the end of conflict, or at least this battle. The council ships hovered, unable to act, powerless against the proof of loyalty and trust that no algorithm or weapon could replicate. As the night fell over Greystone, the three, Marcus, Eli, and the Varkulan, stood together, a tableau of strength, courage, and connection. The galaxy would never forget. Not because of fear, not because of technology, but because humanity had shown that even the deadliest creature could be reached, understood, and made an ally. Marcus's voice, low and steady, broke the silence. "The universe may try to test us again. It may send armies, assassins, entire fleets. But they will never break this bond. And as long as we stand together, no force in the galaxy can challenge us." Eli laughed quietly, still trembling with exhilaration. "So, we just became the most dangerous household in the known universe?" Marcus smiled, hand resting on the Varkulan's massive head. "Not dangerous. Human. That's what terrifies them." The creature shifted, pressing its immense form closer, a living testament to the power of trust and courage. Stars glittered overhead, the night alive with possibility. Somewhere beyond, the council seethed and calculated, but here, on this remote world, the impossible had been achieved. Humanity had tamed the untamable, and in doing so, had reminded the galaxy why it should never underestimate the species that dared to reach out, even to monsters. And as the wind whispered through the alien trees, carrying the low rumble of the Varkulan's purr across the land, one truth became undeniable: The deadliest predator in the galaxy had chosen humans, and with that choice the story of the universe had changed forever.